Thank you, Jason. So, yeah, first of all, I would like to thanks all the D2 crew for the wonderful event. Jason and Fabio and Christian and all the D2 team. I have been attending actually the D2 for the past 5 or 6 years, and I have been witnessing the great success and growth of this event, and it have been really inspirational for me, and I'm sure many of you. I will start to give you a quick background about myself, because at the time, most of the people or most of the speakers have been saying that they were computer nerds and they have been like playing with computers, but at this time I was actually being kicked in the face while doing Taekwondo. This was my main career. This was my main life, I would say. I have played Taekwondo from when I was 8 years old until mid-20s. And I was fully dedicated to it. I was doing competitions, local, and then at some point I was playing for the national team, and I was sponsored. I'm doing it quite professionally. And I also had an Olympic dream to become an Olympic champ and a world champ and all that stuff. And yeah, it was quite an incredible career, full of really dynamic motion and sad times and super happy times and everything. But at the same time, I studied architecture in the University of Fine Arts in Cairo, architecture department. And I think even until the very late years, I started to actually learn computer. I was like, no, you guys sucks. You are just working with computer software and presenting your projects. You have to use, your hands and stuff like this. But I started to learn computer softwares at the last year, and I presented my graduation project, full presentation, and I started to really love it so much. Shortly after I graduated from the architecture university, I got my bachelor degree, and I found myself taken to the army. So it was the mandatory military services in Egypt, and it was literally like Forrest Gump when he went to the truck and he was being yelled at and screamed at, and it was incredibly crazy. I have never imagined it like this at all. I mean, I actually lived a very kind of dedicated and disciplined life in Taekwondo through doing camps and, eating very less to decrease weight and all that stuff, but the army was just so extreme. And because I got my bachelor degree and I had some computer skills and I was an international Taekwondo champ, they gave me a very relevant job for this, which was cleaning the bathrooms. And this is me, celebrating our break. But after half a year of cleaning the bathrooms, and after a lot of attempts of making them realize that I'm an international Taekwondo champ, they promote me and made me clean the chairs in the stadium. So after I finished my army, I somehow decided to ditch my Olympic dream and pursue my professional career in architecture. And that's because obviously there is no future for these type of sports. I mean, as much as I can win Olympic medals or anything, eventually there is no sports. If it was football, it would be something else, but it wasn't. So I had to take this step, which was really heartbreaking because I really loved it and I really was very passionate about it. And I had to move to Dubai to work on architecture over there. It was really booming, and I worked in several international architecture offices. I was doing concept development and visualization. But after 5 or 6 years, I felt like I'm a little bit kind of burning myself in architecture, and I want to dedicate more time into visualization and maybe work with the studios that take it to the next level and have more freedom to really create art through it. So at that time, I decided to, after probably 5 or 6 years, I probably it was 2010 or 2011, I started to really dig into the studios that I really like their work, and it was mostly either like D-Box or Hayes Davidson or Mir or additional other studios. And as you can imagine, and this is a big challenge for Middle Eastern people to actually get like work permits to go and work in Europe or US. So, of course, I think I applied in all these studios, but I think it was much more challenging to get me into US or UK. But I was quite fortunate that the guys at Mir, the famous studio in Norway, they really liked my work, and they invited me over to go to Bergen and meet them. I think actually they were kind of worried because, you know, like Middle Eastern guy coming, like it's a very small studio, Mir, a few people, and Norwegian guys and Middle Eastern dude coming. Probably I'm the first Egyptian they have even met. So they just wanted to make sure that this guy is, you know, like okay, not really strange and terrorist, because, you know, like all of us are terrorists. So I went to visit them, and it was quite spontaneous and natural. I felt I really belonged to this place. But as you can imagine, the contrast and everything is just quite the opposite coin of Dubai, you know? Like it was like just a dreamy world, you know? Like we were living like in towers and crazy shit, and then going to like really little small cute houses in, you know, like in the middle of the greenery. So it was really, really crazy. I mean, of course, the weather, the sun, everything is just like the opposite. So I took because I'm not alone, I have my wife and my son, and we decided to go, and it was really an incredible adventure. But I still remember, these are the Mir guys back in the days. Yeah, like I think most of the people here know the Mir people, and they are really creative, amazing people. And it's a really unique studio with a lot of unique qualities. It's not a big studio, it have never been, but I think it's actually one of the most special parts of the studio, being it like very small and very intimate, and like it's a small family, and the amount of creativity is just limitless over there. So it was really incredible working with this team, and yeah, like super creative. Everyone, I think they really try to bring like the best people creative-wise, but they don't really care how much technical achievements you have. It's just like if you even have like a handwriting, a hand drawing skills, that's more than enough. If you are able to translate your concepts in a cool way, like just with drawing, that's enough. We can come and we will teach you 3D, no problem. So I still remember that when we went over there, my son was having his first day in the kindergarten, which is not that day, but it was actually an incredibly snowy, rainy day. And this is like the first time he saw snow, and probably this is the first time he saw rain even. And he was just crying all the time. And I thought, okay, that's it. We are doomed here. We don't have any future. We're not going to survive like half a year. But shortly after this, he started to become like a proper small Norwegian, actually. Like, you know, going hiking and grabbing the mushrooms and, you know. And also, he started to enjoy playing with the blonde girls, which he would never see in Egypt, you know, like we will never get like any blonde girl like this in Egypt, so. And at the time, while he was enjoying this, I actually was sucking so hard in skiing. The Norwegian guys told me, yeah, we have to come and ski, and you know, like I didn't even see snow before. But I thought, okay, that's a very cool idea. Yeah, I do Taekwondo, have a good balance, everything is fine. Let's go. So, and you know, like the Norwegian guys, they take you to the steepest mountains and they tell you, yeah, these are for old people climbing, it's okay, it's fine. And I went up the mountain, I did like my first trial with this baby slope skiing, and I was okay, just okay, you know, like I didn't fall down or anything. But then they told, yeah, you're fine, let's go up, let's go. So they took me on the top of the mountain, which was like, I don't know, like medium level difficulty. And they didn't even tell me how to brake, you know, like I kept going on speed and I felt, okay, I'm gonna die today. So that was me skiing, and yeah, I was really, really scared to death. Like I was just, yeah, I was just falling down to just like stop myself gaining more speed because literally I didn't know how to brake. But eventually, I managed to do it, and I have to say it's quite incredible experience. It's like one of the most enjoyable things I have ever done, actually. But afterwards, I think after so many years, it has been an incredibly amazing experience. Working with Mir have been really awesome. I think one of the main things, one of the main aspects of the quality of working over there is that the clients look at them and treat them in a different way, and they give them like a lot of trust and a lot of confidence in exploring unconventional directions and artistic concepts rather than just telling them what to do. And that's, I think, one of the core fundamentals of really this explorative manner that really kind of elevated and become like a really special thing over there. Like the clients always comes and say, hey, we don't want to tell you a certain angle or certain direction or certain mood. We trust you. Just explore, show us like some magic, and that's it. Like this is probably like half the brief. So it really leaves a lot of freedom for you to explore and do a lot of concepts. We used to do like a lot of sketches and drafts, like focusing on different ideas, different directions, and the client always like get incredibly excited when he see this array and rich visual, you know, like identities and directions through their projects. Also, the diverse scale and complexity of the projects that they get is quite inspiring. Some projects are really big, some projects are really small. It doesn't really matter. It's just like eventually just like a creative effort. So it was an incredibly fulfilling and fruitful experience. But again, after 6 years, I decided to go on my own and work with myself. I went back to Egypt, my home country, and I decided to just like work with few clients here and there. But things went quite fast, quite quickly, more than I imagined actually. So I don't really have like a proper studio or anything. I'm still working from a home office. And after like working, I got like so many requests, and I was really grateful to have like an array of different projects from different places. But I found myself like the work was too much for me to do, so I started to collaborate with different people from different locations. Some are Egypt, some outside in Europe, some in whatever place. And we started to connect through online platforms and share files. It's a very unconventional way of doing business, but it has been going for 2 years now, I think, and it has been going quite great. Probably it's not like the best way of building a studio. It's not even a way of building a studio, but it has been going, and I'm not even sure what the future is, but we somehow managed to do this collaborative efforts, which kind of leave a lot of freedom for myself and a lot of freedom for them as well. We don't have like a very restrictive manner of, you know, like working timings and all these things. I mean, of course, everything have an advantage and disadvantage, but I'm just talking about like I'm highlighting the upsides about this. And I mean, like this is another thing that is good about the D2, that you will find like people talking more about the success of building like an empire or big companies like Binyan or D-Box, and also you can find like people working on their own or building like small studios or even just like freelancing, and the diversity and difference is really mesmerizing, I think. So I was extremely grateful working with different architects from different places. I think most of the projects that I do, the clients kind of approach me to create like something more cinematic, or they really like the diverse, rich visual qualities that I can try to provide for them. But also one of the reasons that made me kind of take this step and work on my own is to actually work on personal, non-conventional projects, which I think is really key, an essential key in my career development and my creative progress. Through all the years, I have been trying to do like different projects, and it's of course, like these type of projects, you have a lot of freedom that you don't get in the commissioned work. The commissioned work is always having like a restrictive limits through the nature of the project or the client's requests. But through these projects, you can really define yourself. You can really present something that you are totally passionate about and something that you really love. And I think each one of us have like a very different experiences, very different traditions, backgrounds, you know, things that he likes. And this is an amazing opportunity to actually kind of like define yourself through this more and kind of share with others, you know, your experiences also. So I really like this, and I try from time to time, even though that I think most of us have like really busy working schedule and lives and, you know, like families and everything, but we have to somehow find a way from time to time to inject these, you know, like creative pills into our routine. And it really helps you, you know, like kind of like flow some ideas and kind of progress through it. So these are some bits of the projects that I have been doing through the years. Unfortunately, I'm not doing that much, but I'm trying like every year to at least have something. And one of these projects, of course, like the Taekwondo one, which was the most favorite to myself and to my heart, because I always, you know, as you can imagine, doing Taekwondo for so long, I always wish to kind of like share with the people the momentum and the experience of the sparring tournament, because usually what happens is that you are from part of the crowd or the supporter far away from the competition itself, but actually when you are totally close, even like the sports photographer can really feel, you know, like the dynamic qualities and the forces and, you know, like how much action there is, much more than if you are outside. So I really wanted to kind of present this in a way the closest to the court, and that was my project. Yeah, and I actually used like a licensed sports photographer to be able to capture the players in the world championship. And it was a very funny story because he was actually a Russian dude. I sent him, I actually sent the federation, the World Federation first, to grant me like an access for sports photographers, and to also grant me access if I can actually use these as like copyright issues and stuff like this. And I wrote this Russian photographer dude, and I found like an email back in Russian. Saying, yeah, I was asking him if he can help me with taking photos into the World Championship and blah, blah, blah. And he wrote me back, I'm sorry, I don't speak English, I'm Russian, in Russia. So I Google translated, and then I actually wrote another email, and I translated back in Russia, send him back, yeah, no problem, it's okay, you don't have to speak English, we can just keep going like this, I can tell you what I want and the direction that I need, blah, blah, blah. And it's fine, I can send you the money, and all is good. He sent me back, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then we kept going like this, you know, like Russian emails. So this project was something really dear to me, and made me kind of like, I'm still going, actually doing like Taekwondo training, but just like informally, of course. Lately, I have finished a personal project that took a little bit of time because it was something new for me. I was trying to dig more into the moving picture and a little bit of an animation, which I really suck in. And I did like some few animations back in the days, architecture animations, but nothing really that serious, and it didn't take that much time. But this one, it was an incredible adventure for me, and I learned so much because it was a full production. I have never done something like this before. I have dealt with so many issues that I usually never deal with, and I thought that this could be actually a good subject to talk about from aspiration till the final production, and see like what happened through it. These are some still frames from the production. So it's mostly about this ancient Egyptian queen named Tozret. She was one of the few sole rulers, like I would say Cleopatra, but she's not as known as Cleopatra because I think some of the kings, or that at least what was written, that some of the kings that came after her have kind of ditched all her achievements, like from temples or, like whatever she kind of built or done. And she's not that much well known. She didn't really rule for that many years, but at the same time, she has some really incredible achievements. And I mean, just for me, as an iconic woman, taking the responsibility of such civilization is just something so incredibly inspiring. And of course, like I have been for so many years having the idea of actually capturing the essence of the ancient pharaonic civilization with all the art and beauty surrounding it, from like architecture, from temples, textures, sculptures, ornaments, costumes. Everything is just like so inspiring and have inspired many civilizations later on, I think. So that really gave me the drive to start something like this. So of course, one of the inspirations for all my work is actually movies, cinema. I really enjoy movies. I think all of us do. And I really love specifically the movies that combines really strong narrative with really strong visual qualities. Like, I surely love the stories, but if the movie is showing only strong story and very poor visual quality, I kind of get a little bit bored of it, but So Ridley Scott have a huge influence on me. I love all his movies. I'm quite passionate about it. I think he's incredibly brilliant. I have never seen a movie from him coming like not so perfect and not so amazing. Everything is so inspiring, sci-fi movies or old movies or whatever. It's just incredible. Everything is just like super well, the composure of his movies and the build-up and the climax and the tonality, the compositions, everything is just so perfect. And of course, Gladiator is one of those movies that have always been like one of my most favorite movies. Just like the amount of work that went into it. I also love the crafting inside and the art that went into the production. It's just like so incredibly inspiring. Also, Kingdom of Heaven is also another example which is also quite amazing. And yeah, so these have a huge impact on my inspiration. Also, in the Middle East, we have a very old and rich industry, and we had a lot of really brilliant directors. And this movie was named Salahuddin, was like a king warrior in Arab world. And also, this movie have an incredible art direction behind it, and the amount of production, the acting, everything was actually so amazing. So, I mean, in the Middle East, we really have like not that much now. Actually, it's more lame now, but actually back in the days, it was incredibly amazing. We have also like some really famous actors like Omar Sharif, who acted in Lawrence of Arabia and different others. So all these have been kind of influencing me from back in the days, like I'm just like talking about like different inspiration aspects. This movie have been published, I think, last year. And it was directed by, it's a short movie directed by Miguel Ortega from Los Angeles. He and his girlfriend, they were both working as creature artists in digital domain. And they just took off and they just decided to work on their own and do like short movies, direct short movies. They did like a couple of short movies, and then this one, which was just mind-blowing. If you didn't see it, you have to. That was an incredibly motivational aspect for me, because it was such a small team, like he and his girlfriend and a bunch of friends, producing this whole thing from home. They kind of converted their basement into a small studio with 2 sets and a green screen. And you can imagine something done like this, how much money and the production it needs, but they were really restricted, and they created something quite incredible. And it's just like full of like smart, of course it's full of art, but also like it's full of like smart usage of different, you know, like tips and tricks just to be able to meet whatever they want in the least means possible. I mean, you can see like they are using like freaking IKEA lighting over here, you know, like it's not even a proper lighting, like a green screen lighting and everything. But the result is just incredible, and that kind of like gave me a lot of, you know, like boost that you feel that, okay, with least means you can still achieve something. So, of course, there is a lot of other movies that really inspired me for my project. All these are part of it. The art direction was, of course, influenced by the temples, the ancient Egyptian civilization temples, and the stuff that I can find like online, or the stuff that I actually visited myself when I was a child. And it's just like all these like, you know, textures and ornaments and the sculptures. Also, I got like quite inspired from different fields, like cartoons. I mean, The Prince of Egypt was quite inspiring and amazing movie. The art and the concepts behind it is really amazing, and that really also like gave me a lot of inspiration. Yeah, some bits from, I don't know, games. I just like, of course, like as all of us do, like just gather like some references from different places that kind of inspire you. So I started to lay down some really quick lines for each scene. This is the first time I have done something like this, so it's completely stupid, but I'm still learning. I just started bit by bit, like kind of like describing each scene, what will happen, blah, blah, blah. And I just like captured like some few, you know, like images from different things that kind of like help me with the mood and the overall atmosphere related to it a little bit. That was it. And I started to work on my previs, which is quite shit and super lame in all means. I couldn't, like, I would maximum like know how to animate a camera or something, or like few objects, but other than this was really shit. I'm gonna put down. So this was meant to be like a very quick draft. It's mostly related to having, this is just like a placeholder, you know, like that I'm gonna put like some words on the beginning and things like this. And I started to really lay down like a really basic scenes without much details or any like, you know, modes or anything, just, you know, like basic volumes, just to get like some cameras running, seeing the buildup of the sequences, if the timing is working together, you know, like this is kind of like the sketch, you know, like you have to make sure that in the sketch things are working, and then you can start to, you know, like work into the production. So, as I said, like nothing really fancy. I'll just, yeah. But then until actually the queen comes, so I'm actually usually, because I'm kind of working on my own now, I'm kind of like showing some of my friends. So I had this really close friend of mine, and I showed him this, and he told me, yeah, what the hell is this, man? This is shit. Like he was like making fun of this model, and that she have like a big boobs, and like at some point, at some point at the end, I think like when she was like walking towards the Porsche at the end, he told me, yeah, just like throw her out of the Porsche, and that's it. Like in this stupid movie over there, I was quite devastated. Yeah, so this is the part. It's like throwing her, but yeah. I was actually quite devastated, and I think everyone was making fun of me, even my wife at home. Yeah, what's this stupid shit you're working on? But so I thought, let's just continue and try, you know, like maybe. maybe I can learn something. But so after I finished this, I started to do like a very quick light tests. I'm using VRay. I have never used anything else. I know it sounds strange to some people, but I don't want to use anything else because I usually work with commission projects, like really big scenes, and I really need like a very strong and reliable and yeah, I don't know, like I feel completely comfortable with VRay. I always say that VRay is a beast. It can never fail, you know, to handle anything. And I always work with this like really big architecture projects in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, and full of like massive cities and details. And I have never found any problem working with VRay. The quality and the speed and everything is just so amazing. So what I usually do is I fire up like the VRay RT. I don't have like any fancy computer or anything. I don't even have like good GPU. I'm not using even GPU. But so I fire up the VRay RT, very basic diffuse textures, no reflections, nothing. Just very quick tests just to get, you know, like the direction of the light, the mood, the atmosphere, everything. And this was incredibly helpful, not only to start building on top of these progressing with the textures and the materials and everything, but also for the shooting, because we had to shoot the queen, and we had to know the scenes that she is in, where is the light is coming from, what type of lights do we need, what type of filters do we need, and this whole shooting day, like, yeah, we have to plan it somehow. And these, like after I did these tests, I sit with the director of photography, and we somehow know like what we need, you know. So these were really quick tests. And here comes the queen. So I had to select a queen, a model, which have this kind of aesthetics of being like an Egyptian beautiful queen. But somehow while I was digging into it and I was looking into different models, there is a lot of beautiful models, but actually the presence of the model in front of the lens, that's actually a skill in its own. And Zainab, which was the model that I selected, she actually have a really strong skill of having a really strong presence in front of the lens. And I felt this is perfect for what we need, because what we have is more of an ambient mood, and we really need, she's not gonna talk or do anything, you know, so she really have to really nail this being present and strong in front of the lens. So she was perfect, she was incredibly excited. I mean, who wouldn't be liking to be like a queen of Egypt? The costumes was quite inspired by this guy. This guy, his name is Shadi. Shadi is actually an architect who studied in the same university that I studied in, but afterwards he studied cinema, and he started to do like production and set designs for Egyptian movies, and later on he started to direct some movies. I found his work quite unique actually, and really visionary. His custom designs, his concept for the scenes, and everything is really incredibly inspiring. And because I had like a super shitty hand drawing skills, I asked my wife to help me with this. So we draw like a really quick concept for the custom. I had a little bit of an idea of what I need, and we wrote like some descriptions about it. And we went to the tailor to plan the thing and give him the fabric and explain the sketches. The jewelry design was also another super important thing. I really love the crafting, as I said, in those type of movies like Gladiator or Cleopatra or The Exodus or this. And all these have like a lot of work on these like accessories, and the amount of effort that goes into this, and of course the amount of money is really something. So that was actually really important for me to get this kind of believable, and we had to do like a custom tailored design and custom tailor production for the crowns and the necklace and all the accessories that she was wearing. Everything was made from scratch. And of course, there was a lot of money goes into it. Yeah. But yeah, there was no other way. I mean, I had to do this, otherwise the production will just look like shit, you know? So these were all like made like handcrafted from scratch. Of course, it took quite some time, but eventually it was really nice. So the shooting day was actually a complete nightmare. I wish I wouldn't go like through this experience again. It was one of the most stressful days in my life, I think. I have never done something like this before, but you just get all sort of stressful, you know, like panic surprises and things that are not working. All you know, like exactly when you are starting to do a presentation, the computer is not working, you know. All these like surprising coincidence. But we went to the shooting day with as I said, like with a very quick, rough, you know, like planning for the camera, the direction of the shooting and the light and all these, you know, like helpful planning instructions. We started to do the makeup for the girl, and then suddenly the accessory girl that is doing the accessories and the crowns called me. I made an accident. I'm not gonna come before like 2 hours. And I was like freaking out because, you know, like you have like a whole crew waiting for you and a lot of money paid for this. And the girl is still like, you know, like in somewhere downtown Cairo, you know, like she's gonna take like ages to come. And at the same time, when she came, she had, I don't know, like she stumbled on a stone and she fell down and the necklace went off and it was like, oh my God. So we tried to, you know, like fix things. So as I said, like you just have to be kind of creative and try to fix things. But yeah, we kept having all these sort of problems. We have this like fire torch. We put the fire, the welding fell off, so we have to wrap it up again. I was like, oh my God, I want to finish this nightmare. But anyways, after we finished her makeup, actually, I asked the makeup artist guy, who's this guy, to become my second model, because I had this one scene that I need like a kind of like a assistant for the queen. And this guy was just so perfect. Like the guy was bald, without hair. He's just so perfect, you know, like ancient Egyptian guy. I told him, do you like to become like the second model? I was like, yeah, shit, okay. So put for yourself makeup also, and let's go. It was awesome. So we did the shooting, and the girl was really... she was extremely professional and, yeah, explaining like an idiot. Why it's not going? Yeah? Ah, okay. Yeah, so these are like some bits from the shooting. We used like the Alexa, Arri Alexa. The director of photography told me this is the best and we have to use this. We can't use other things. I mean, I don't have much experience with it, but yeah, like I had like confidence in him, so we went for it. As I said, like I really like crafting for all the aspects of the project. So I really wanted the name also to have like some art qualities into it. So I had a friend of mine who's a kind of a title designer. We wrote like some quick synopsis for the idea, and then he kept doing like some options, which was kind of inspired by her real name, which was found like on a stone carved in her tomb, and it was like the main aspiration for his first option, which was that one, combining her English name with her ancient Egyptian name, and that was the best one we chose eventually. We had like few other options. This one, which was kind of inspired by sculpture, but looked more like an alien, I think. And we had the third one, which was inspired from the crown. But yeah, like as I said, I really wanted to have like some qualities into this. The materials, as I said, I'm far away from being any advanced technically. I'm using like the most basic shit you can do. And like most of my materials are like one diffuse, one reflection, one bump, that's it. You know, like I don't use nodes, I use compact material editor, as you can see here. You know, like old school. I don't use nodes, I don't do that stuff. But I use like some maybe composite maximum, like if I want like to do like more elaborate things, this is like as elaborate as it can get, I think. And I used a lot of like VRay RT, VRay dirt, and the VRay complex, not complex, what's called? Distant texture. Yeah, this one. No, this is the dirt. Yeah, the distant texture. So yeah, like some, like just to achieve like some grim and irregular, like dirt in between. Also, I used the substance painter just to, yeah, it's super easy. It's yeah, just to get like more rich qualities into it, and it was like plugged back into like composite maps. I think I didn't even use like the reflection. I didn't use like a full scope of like substance painter nodes. But that was it. I'm quite shit in actually like saving all my progress. I don't even save progress. These were like kind of like done like between me and a friend of mine, so we can kind of discuss the progress. Lighting is also quite basic. I just use like some different VRay lights, discs, spheres, VRay sun, whatever. But also the VRay fog was used quite extensively in getting this atmosphere out from the render. And this is one of the passes, and it's quite strong and reliable, and it's not that slow. So I really love it, and I always use it. And this is part of the compositing. I was literally learning After Effects step by step, like, yeah, how to, I don't know, do a mask, stuff like this. And yeah, this was the first time I really did something a little bit more complex, And yeah, it's After Effects, of course, it's much easier than anything else, I think. And that's why I used it. I know that Nuke is awesome and everything, but yeah, it's a little bit more advanced for me. So this is one of the other shots. As you can see, I mean, nothing really fancy, just like some bits of elements. Of course, there is some plugins used, like Magic Bullet, Fresh Luft for depth of field. Yeah, I think that's it, actually. Another extremely important factor of this whole production was the score, the music. I really wanted something to have the ambition of the production, and I talked with Is here? No? Oh, too bad. Okay, is an incredible creative Serbian dude who works with another amazing Serbian creative dude, Sava. They create all these like IFCC titles, all this incredible animation that makes me incredibly depressed and want to go kill myself or go back to Taekwondo maybe. But they really create some amazing stuff. And his sound and the score and the music design is just so incredible. I talked with him, and we felt incredibly aligned together about everything, all the aspects. And I think like maybe even from the very first draft, he really created something that really touched the base of the soul of this ancient Egyptian theme, but at the same time something that you didn't really hear, like not like a mummy, like music or something like this. And I think I had like a certain ambition for the score, but he really exceeded this quite a lot. And I was just so happy with his work. Unfortunately, he's not here now. 2 minutes? Cool. So he's not here right now. Unfortunately, I wanted him to talk a little bit about the score because I don't even know how he do this shit. But it's if you didn't see Twozret, just go and only listen to the music. Don't watch the movie. The music is awesome. And yeah, that's it. I think. I hope this was any helpful, but if you need any questions, if you want to ask about anything, I mean, as you saw, like most of the things are super lame, so yeah, but if you want to discuss or ask about anything, feel free, please, and thank you so much.